episode of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. I am Rico, and I'd like to remind everyone that I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, and I am not a medical professional in any way. Just a regular person trying to navigate through life and trying to navigate what's going on in here. It's better, but it's still a mess, but it's better. I have to try to look at the bright side of some things, and I still have work to do, but I am pleased at the work that I have done so far. Now, my last episode, I was talking about my apartment and living on my own for the first time in my life. And I decided again to pivot and to talk about another topic because this topic was really, really fresh on my mind. And I felt compelled to do an episode or maybe two episodes on this topic. And the topic I would like to cover today is toxic masculinity. If this topic makes you uncomfortable, maybe you're one of the toxic ones. No, I can't really say. I'm only going to talk about the toxic males in my life. The ones that should have been positive influences, but they were not. I've experienced a lot of it in my life too. I really have. And the definition of toxic masculinity is a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with, expected of men, regarded as having a negative impact on men and on society as a whole. That means some men feel the need to be a certain way, that society expects them to be a certain way, and if they're not this way, it's going to impact everything negatively. And this was my dad. That was the beginning. My first experience with that type of behavior was my father. And he was, when I was a child, I looked up to him. And, the first 9 or 10 years, things were okay. And then after that was when he really, really started to show who he really was. He was the only real influential male in my life. I don't want to use the term father figure because he was my father, but he should have been somebody that I looked up to and saw as a role model. But as I got older, I could see that he just was quite honestly somebody I didn't want to be like. I didn't want to behave like him. I found him to be jarring and off-putting. I really did look up to him. But he felt that he needed to be a certain way. He needed to behave a certain way because this is what society expects of him. This is what the other men expect of him. He worried about what the other men thought, so he had to be a tough guy to impress them for some odd reason. I still don't understand it. I still don't understand how he regards all these other men's opinions more than anyone close to him. So he had to be a tough guy. He had to be a macho man, and he called himself that. That was his term. He called himself a macho man. He was one of those guys that he felt that men work, and then they come home and eat and drink beer, and that's it. The women do the cleaning, the women do the cooking, the women take care of the babies. And that was his way of doing things. He was very, very proud. He was proud. He would tell me stories about his proudness, and I was truly embarrassed for him. Truly embarrassed. He told me a story of when he was young and he was hungry and someone offered him food, but he said no because he didn't want them to know that he was hungry. And I told him that was stupid. You were hungry and someone offered you food and you told them no because you didn't want them to know that you were hungry? That was really dumb. But that was his way of doing things, his way of expressing himself, more or less. And it was something that I really didn't want for my own life, for myself. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. In this video, I am touching down on the topic of toxic masculinity. And I'm not going to talk on all of it. I'm only talking out of the toxic masculinity that I experienced in my own life. And, like I said, in the beginning, there was my dad. He was the proud one. He felt he needed to do things a certain way and act a certain way, and all because of what other people thought, all because of what society thinks and what they expect of him, or at least what he thinks they expect of him. He was very proud. He would never, ever admit to being wrong, ever. In my lifetime, he never did. His favorite saying, his life mantra, his catchphrase was, "I never have to say I'm sorry when I'm always right." And he meant it. He believed it. He thought it was true. He thought that he was right all the time. He never once apologized for anything. He would blow up at times and make me feel super small. And then the next day, it was just like it never happened. He would never come back and say, "Sorry, I felt sorry. I yelled at you. Sorry, I was acting a certain way." He never, not once. And he believed it. He believed he was always right. He would never concede ever. He would just, instead of considering things, he would just double down and stick with it and would argue. He would rather argue than to just like take in information. He would rather argue than learn. And he saw being wrong as a weakness. He saw the things that he didn't like and anything he didn't agree with was weakness. He saw showing your emotions as weakness, unless it was anger. He expressed anger and that was it. I remember him just being always angry. He was never really happy about stuff. He was never really expressing himself unless he was mad. And then he would blow up and then he would take it out on everyone around him. And he had quite the reputation, even with his coworkers and with his friends, for being a hothead. They all thought it was funny. It's not funny when he's flipping the table in the house. It's not funny when he's throwing stuff around. It's not funny when he's getting in my mom's face just because. That wasn't funny. When he was at work and I heard about him throwing wrenches at other people because he was just angry, that doesn't seem like fun to me. That does not seem like fun to me at all. But he didn't want to hear anyone else's feelings. He didn't care about how anyone else felt. You could express yourself, and if you did, he would mock you for it, or he would mock me for it. He would mock me for, feeling sad, or feeling, whenever I would feel happy and I would get excited about something, he would shut it down right away and make fun of me for it. Make me feel like I was stupid for being excited. Make me feel like I was stupid for showing some enthusiasm. He would make me feel stupid for just expressing myself. And he did that quite a bit. And it gets quite tiring when you're young and you get excited for something and you want to share, and then you share it and you get shut down, you get yelled at. My one story was about the business cards, his business cards, where some of the Chicago Bears came to play, and it was like the B team, whatever, second stringers, but they came to play an exhibition basketball game against high school teachers. It was all in good fun. Afterwards, they had a meet and greet. So I decided to get some autographs, and the only thing I had with me were a stack of business cards. So I had them autograph on, each autograph was on a different card. And when I got home and I told him about it and I showed him these cards, he got so mad because, in his words, those cards are money. Every one of those cards is a job I could have done, and now I can't make money because of you. He could not share the enthusiasm. He wasn't happy about any of it. He just immediately found the one thing, the only thing that he could be mad about. And he went for it, like, right away. And that was very, very frustrating. Only dealing with anger. That's how you learn to walk on eggshells around people. And you shouldn't have to. But I'm going to take another break, and I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I am talking about toxic masculinity in this video, and especially the toxicity I experienced with my dad. Um, he was not a pleasure to be around. It kind of hurts me a little bit to talk about him like this, but I have to be realistic. I have to tell the story of what it did to me and how I felt during those times. You know, overall, he's kind of a good man, but he had lots and lots that just wasn't working, and lots that he just would not bend, would not compromise, would never ever consider other people. He was all about himself, and he wanted to make sure everyone around him was all about him as well. Um, he used everyone around him to make himself feel better about himself. I think he felt like a tough guy and a macho man when he would make fun of us for how we dressed, for how we wore our hair, for the music we listened to. It made him feel better about himself. He never considered about how he made the others feel. He only cared about how he felt, and that made him feel good about himself. That's my perception. I could be wrong, but I was there. I experienced it. That's what I saw. And he didn't like anyone different than him. He didn't like anything that he did. Whatever he didn't like was not important. Whatever he didn't like, he would make fun of. Whatever he didn't like, whether it was music or movies, celebrities, people, my friends, if he didn't like them, he was going to say something stupid about them, and he was going to make fun as much as possible. He anything that he didn't like was different. He didn't like other races. He didn't like most women. He didn't like a lot of different things, and he didn't like gay people. He didn't like the music I listened to. He didn't like the celebrities that I liked. He didn't like, if it wasn't what he liked, then he would make fun, and he would just make it seem like it was wrong. Like it was wrong. I was wrong for listening to the rock music I did. I was wrong for, watching the movies that I did. He wanted me to follow in his footsteps. And I just refused because I did not like where he was walking. I didn't like the path he was taking. I didn't like it at all. And I could see for myself that it wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I believed in. Whatever it was that he was pushing, and the way he was behaving. My brothers, they totally walked in his footsteps. They act like him. They do the whole manly man thing, and society expects me to be like this, so I have to be like this, and all of that. They bought into all of it. So if you weren't like him, he didn't want anything to do with you, or he would make fun of you. And one thing that really, really bothered me was when my friends would come over, and he would be cordial to them, to their faces. He would be polite when they would come over to visit in his house. But as soon as they would leave, he had all kinds of snarky things to say about them. He hated everyone. Why is that goofy guy here? Why is that goofy guy here? It was always something stupid like that. He was always making fun of everybody that I hung out with. He didn't like anybody. They weren't like his friends. His friends were saints and were just like top of the line men, and he was proud of his friends and his coworkers, but he didn't like me, and he didn't like any of the people I hung out with. He didn't like any of it. And he always treated me like I was wrong, like I just was going the wrong way. He didn't like it the way I was going. He didn't like what I was doing, and made me feel like I was wrong about it. And that made me second guess myself so much. Because this is the man that I was really trying to gain approval from, and he was so unwilling to give it. So unwilling. He couldn't just accept me for who I was. He wanted me to be who he wanted me to be. And I couldn't do it. And I didn't want to do it. So I didn't. But I'm going to take another break, and I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I'm gonna conclude this video of toxic masculinity. I do have more notes, so I'm gonna do another episode on this topic. But as far as the notes I have, I just want to finish up with what I was saying, with my father being the macho man, um, totally unwilling to compromise, totally unwilling to consider anyone else's feelings. Um, He made himself feel good by making others feel bad, and it was uh, it was it was exhausting. It really was. I was so tired of it. I was so tired, and sometimes you could joke with him a little bit about it, but if you joked too much, then he would get mad, and then he would yell and scream. And even with him, things were like illnesses, like having a headache, having allergies, physical pain of any kind. He 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 felt like it was all fake, like we were just doing it for attention. He would always say, "It's all in your head. It's all in your head." He felt like taking medication was weakness. Like if you just took a Tylenol for a headache, he would look down on you for it. He hated doctors. He hated hospitals. He hated medication. He would go to the doctor and they would give him medication, and he would take it for one day and say something like, "I didn't like the way it made me feel," and then would just stop, would just stop taking it because he knew better, or at least he thought he did. And when I was talking about cooking and cleaning and how he thinks that certain certain chores are gender based, and they're not. But he didn't know how to wash his own clothes. My mom would go to Mexico and he would ask me to wash his clothes for him. He didn't know how to do it at all. And the one time that I started to tease him a little bit about it, he got really mad. He hung up on me. He just didn't like that at all. He didn't like that I could expose him for something, but he would expose me for whatever, whenever he felt like it. And yeah, he thought that was women's work. Women's work is cooking and cleaning. I don't know why. You know, when I got married, we were both working full time, and we both had to take care of chores. We both had to do things. And whenever I would tell him stuff like that, he would act like, "Wait, isn't she supposed to do that? Isn't she supposed to change the diapers? Isn't she supposed to do the dishes?" No, we both do it. We just both do it because we both need to have things done. And I can't expect her to just take over these things when she's working full time as much as I am. He didn't know how to do things for himself. He could kind of cook a little bit, but not really. And when I was young, I got my ear pierced. He accused me of being gay. When I was young, I started growing my hair long. He accused me of being gay. He thought that that was gay, and he didn't want to consider anything else. If you have long hair, you're gay. He always told me about how all of my uncles would have kicked me out just for having long hair. He told me that so many times, like trying to get me to appreciate that he let me have long hair without kicking me out, even though that was his way of telling me he wanted to. He wanted to throw me out. And whenever I try something new, or whenever I'd go try to do something fun, he would just criticize all of it, all of it. He would question it in a way to humiliate me. He would he would just tease, um, make fun. Everything was a laugh, or it was stupid, or it was gay, and he didn't like any of it. Later, I feel fortunate that I didn't follow him in that, but my brothers did. They totally act like he does. Manly man. This is what society expects of me, so this is what I have to do. And in my opinion, society can just take a hike, kick rocks. I do things for me. I don't care what society thinks. I don't care what society expects. I'm living my life the way I want to do it, and I encourage others to do that as well. And I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for breaking his tradition. I'm proud of myself, for breaking his, you know, negative, his negative ways of doing things. I've seen a lot of people that get treated that way by their parents, and they just think it's okay, so they continue it with their kids. Like my former brother-in-law, he would joke about smacking his son because his dad smacked him around. So it's okay for him to smack his kid around. And every time he would talk about that, I would say, "Did you like it? Did you like when your old man was smacking you around? How did it make you feel? How did that make you feel? Because you're not considering how you're making him feel." Sometimes I would get through to him, but not always. And I've seen that even with just other people. They get treated a certain way. Now it's my turn. When I worked with my younger brother, he worked in flooring. I was his helper. He treated me like absolute garbage. And then one day he told me, "Oh, they treated me like crap, so now I get to treat you like crap." Again, did you like it when they did that to you? Because if somebody's treating me a certain way and I don't like it, I'm not going to treat somebody else that way. I never treated my boys that way. I still tell them now, be yourselves. I will always support you. I will always stand up behind you. I will always be there for you. I will never, ever question anything unless you're hurting yourself or somebody else. If not, live your life and be who you are. Truly be who you are. And I've always encouraged that with them. And I encourage that with everyone. Be who you are. Be yourself. Don't let others dictate who you are and what you think, because then you give up yourself and you just get lost in the shuffle, and then you never really know exactly who you are anymore. And I felt like I was getting to that point at a young age, and I stopped. I said, no more. I'm not gonna accept this behavior, and I'm not gonna let myself be, treated that way. So I was glad to break his horrible traditions of treating children like crap. And with that, I want to thank you all again for being here. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for supporting. And you know, I appreciate all of you. The world is a better place with you in it. And I encourage you all to just be yourselves. And if somebody doesn't accept that, then that's their problem. That's on them. You can live your life your way, but you don't have to please everyone else. One of my favorite sayings is that I can only please one person a day, and today I choose me again. And that's how I'm living my life now. I don't want to compromise myself anymore, ever. Um, and I just want people to accept me for who I am, the same as I accept them for who they are. So, thank you again from the heart of my bottom. I truly thank you all, and I appreciate you all. Please like, share, subscribe. Please comment if you have any comments on this video. I welcome them all. I will reply whenever I can, and I thank you all for being here. I, and I will be back soon with some more videos of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Thanks.